I think many parents are making a mistake right now. They're trying to figure out which AI tools their children should learn. ChatGPT, Claude, whatever comes next. But I don't think that's the real opportunity, because most of today's AI tools will eventually be replaced. The families who are preparing their children best for the future are focused on something much bigger. Over the last decade, I've worked with more than 100,000 students learning coding, technology, and AI. I've watched some students flourish while others struggle. And I've noticed something interesting. The families who seem best prepared for what's coming tend to share a few common traits. They're not necessarily spending more money. They're not enrolling in every program they can find. They're simply approaching their children's education a little differently. Today, I want to share what they're doing. But first, hit like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss future videos on helping your kids thrive in the AI future. The first thing I've noticed is that the smartest parents aren't obsessed with teaching a specific skill. They're obsessed with helping their children become great learners. One of the most common questions parents ask me is, what should my child learn? And while that's a reasonable question, I think there's a more important one. Can my child learn new things quickly? Technology is changing faster than ever. The tools your child uses 10 years from now may not even exist today. And that's why adaptability matters so much. The families who seem best prepared for the future aren't obsessing over one programming language, one AI tool, or one platform. They're helping their children become comfortable learning new things, experimenting, solving problems, figuring things out. Every time a child learns a new technology, they're strengthening a skill that will serve them for the rest of their lives. The ability to learn may become the most important skill of all. The second thing these parents understand is there's a huge difference between using technology and creating with technology. And I think this distinction is becoming more important every year. Most kids use technology, but relatively few create with technology. When parents talk about screen time, they're often asking the wrong question. The question isn't simply how much screen time, it's what's happening during that screen time. Is your child scrolling or building, watching or creating? In our own family, we've adopted a simple rule. Creative time comes before gaming time. Before our daughter earns gaming time, she spends time building something, coding, working with AI, creating a website, or developing a project of her own. Because consuming technology and creating with technology are two very different things. The future will increasingly reward creators and builders. If there's one idea from this entire video that I hope sticks with you, it's this. Kids need opportunities to build real things. Not just learn about things, not just consume information, actually build. This may be the most important point in the entire video. Many parents still think education is primarily about acquiring knowledge, but in the AI era, proof is becoming increasingly important. Can your child build something? Can they solve a problem? Can they create something people actually use? When I was a teenager, I became obsessed with entrepreneurship. A friend and I spent months brainstorming business ideas, cold calling prospective customers, and trying to build something from scratch. One idea failed, another generated more than $25,000 in revenue in less than 3 months. Looking back, the money wasn't the most valuable part. The real lesson was discovering that I could create something from nothing. And that experience taught me sales, communication, problem solving, persistence, all things that have stayed with me my entire life. I think today's students need similar experiences. Games, apps, websites, AI tools, businesses, research projects. Something tangible, something that they can point to and say, I built this. And as college admissions become increasingly competitive, these kinds of projects are often powerful differentiators. A student who builds an AI app, launches a startup, conducts original research, often stands out far more than a student who simply checks all of the traditional boxes. These projects don't just develop skills, they create stories, they demonstrate initiative, and they give students something meaningful to talk about in applications, essays, and interviews. Now, here's one that surprises a lot of people. Despite everything we're hearing about AI, I still think technical literacy matters enormously. In fact, I think it may become more important than ever. Many parents hear that AI can write code and assume coding no longer matters. I believe the opposite. The future may require less manual coding, but it will require more technical literacy. Children still need to understand how software works, how systems interact, how technology is built, how problems are broken into smaller pieces. AI is an incredibly powerful tool, but the people who get the most value from AI are the people who understand the underlying systems. The goal isn't necessarily to turn every child into a software engineer. The goal is to help them understand the technology that is increasingly shaping the world around them. That's becoming a form of literacy, much like reading and writing. There's one final thing I've noticed about the families who seem best prepared for the future. They're helping their children learn how to create value. And I think this idea is becoming more important than ever. For decades, our education system was largely designed to prepare students to succeed in existing systems. Get good grades, get into a good college, get a good job. These things still matter, but the world is changing. As AI becomes more capable, the people who thrive will increasingly be people who can identify problems, create solutions, and generate value for others. And that's where many traditional educational approaches fall short. They teach students how to absorb information, but they don't always teach students how to create something useful with that information. When I think about the students who stand out, they often have a combination of skills. They can communicate, they can collaborate, they can persuade, they can lead, they can sell an idea, they can build trust, and increasingly they can use technology and AI to amplify those abilities. The future won't belong exclusively to programmers or entrepreneurs or engineers. It will belong to people who can combine technical skills with human skills to create value in the world. That's a mindset parents can start developing long before college or a career. Every project, every business idea, every creative endeavor, every opportunity to solve a problem, those experiences teach children how to create value. And I believe that's one of the most important lessons we can give them. So when I step back and look at everything we've discussed, I think it all comes back to one simple idea. The future belongs to people who can learn, adapt, and create value. That's why the families who seem best prepared for the AI future aren't obsessing over which chatbot their child is using this month. They're focusing on something much deeper. They're helping their children become adaptable learners. They're encouraging them to create rather than simply consume. They're giving them opportunities to build real things. They're helping them understand how technology works, and they're teaching them how to create value for other people. Because regardless of whether your child becomes a doctor, engineer, entrepreneur, software developer, scientist, or something that doesn't even exist yet, those abilities will remain incredibly valuable. Technology will change, tools will change, careers will change, but the ability to learn, build, solve problems, and create value will always matter. And I believe that's one of the greatest advantages a parent can give their child. One of the most common questions I get is, what does this actually look like for my child? Because a 10-year-old who loves Minecraft may need a very different path than a 16-year-old interested in AI startups, software development, or competitive college admissions. If you'd like a copy of the Coding and AI Roadmap I recommend to parents, just comment Roadmap below and I'll send it over. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.